My name is Oscar Aguirre, and I'm the lead hard surface artist at MTX at Respawn, working currently on Apex Legends. Basically, a lead hard surface artist is I oversee the creation of all the weapons that go into the game, mostly on the skin side. So that means working with the concept artists and working with the 3D modelers and texture all the way from the beginning, the conception of the weapon, all the way to the introduction into the game. It's something that I've always wanted to do, to lead a team to help more with the general vision of the weapons and the art that's going into the game rather than just focusing on one weapon for several months. This way, I feel like I have more reach when touching multiple assets at the same time. Yeah, it's super fulfilling. Mostly it's just meetings in the morning to go through concepts and see the progress of all the weapons that are in the pipeline at the moment. At any time, we have over 20 weapons in the pipeline. So going into each one individually and doing some work on it, it's a little bit impossible. But we have a very capable team full of experts on their field, and my job is to oversee all the way from the concept when the ideas are still coming in and figuring out what's going to work and what's not going to work, and how we are introducing those weapons with the characters and how are they going to work in the game itself. At the end of the day, I'm also a fan of the game, and being a fan of the game, I want to work on weapons that I want to use in the game as well. I want all the weapons that come out to be at the highest standard that we can with the time that we have. I think the Watson heirloom that I worked on was very fulfilling for me. I didn't come up with a concept, but the whole modeling process and the whole integration with other disciplines, we had a lot of VFX and a lot of UI, a lot of animation work that went into it, which is not my field. But having the opportunity to work with these truly legends in the industry about an asset that I worked on and being there in the conversation, being there in the meetings, and then seeing the community either super love it or super hate it. I think it was very fulfilling for me to see people very passionate about something that I had a small part in. I'm on Twitter, so we see all the negative comments come in, but the reality is that it comes from a place of passion, and people are passionate about our project, they're passionate about our guns, they're passionate about the product itself. So we take all the criticism and we go back to the drawing board and like, how can we make this better? How can we make this not happen again? But honestly, the positives far outweigh the negatives. We learn a lot from the negatives, but the positives is what keeps us going. You're going to work with a lot of people, and you're going to work through multiple disciplines. The one thing to know is that you're never going to be truly an expert and know everything about your field. There's always someone that will have some advice that you've never known of, or some tools and tricks that you never thought of. And it's an ever growing industry, and it's a challenge, and it's always, as long as you approach it with the mentality of growth and being eager to learn more, that is the best advice I can give. If you want to get into hard surface, I think one of the overlooked areas is to gather good reference. There's already hundreds of fantastic hard surface artists down there in ArtStation and on the internet and Instagram, and grabbing those images and putting them in a folder. And when you want to do, let's say you want to do a gun, then have a folder called dope ass guns, and then just open that and look what they did and try to figure out why they did that. Real life reference, obviously. Having an understanding for mechanical things and how mechanical things work will help a lot. They blur the line a lot between what you see as completely fantasy and something that could actually be a thing that lives in the universe. Panel lines, where to put bolts, where to put like little details, where something scratches and you get a little bit of a different texture there. All those details just enrich your art so much more. And will make it stand out from anyone else making guns out there. A lot of people, I think that you just sit down and come up and doodle some guns, and hopefully that's what goes into the game. The reality is that there's so many more steps that go underneath it. It's not just making something that looks cool. It's something that would work, that works with animation, that works with the cameras that you're using, that lives well inside the engine that you are using. I think the industry is moving to a point where everything is very pinpoint to what you do. Just as an example, like we didn't have groom artists for hair 5 years ago or 10 years ago because the technology was not there. Now having hard surface artists just focused on weapons or focused on props, I think it'll just keep going down that rabbit hole of being more and more specialized. and it'll be a little bit harder to explain what we do, especially in the video games, to someone that's not in the industry. I think one of the things that is overlooked is that if you are passionate about a company, and if you're passionate about a project, do some fan art for that project. Do something that would live comfortably in that universe. I think that works for any company in any game. If you are passionate about Mario, if you're passionate about Nintendo, make some Yoshis, you know? I think ArtStation and the challenges that they have on ArtStation are fantastic. Any artist discords where you can submit your work and get some feedback and criticism are super useful. Be like, can you give me some honest, brutal, constructive criticism? Most of the people will. The industry's small, and we're always looking for great artists, and so we want more great artists. You know, when I was starting in the industry, I had a lot of questions and I had a lot of doubts, and I didn't know where to start. And being able to reach out to someone that's already been in the industry for decades or even months and asking them, how did you get your foot in the door? I have all these amazing ideas, I have all this creativity, and I want to be part of this. What can I do? And just being on the radar of people, it's so powerful.